This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Old man Baiming, the guest said to Baiming Kongtian, let's work together to break this storm and save Li Yunxiao. A cold smile appeared on Baiming Kongtian's face as he said, you must be dreaming. I can't wait for him to die. His eyes revealed a complicated expression, but more of it was joy. With a gloomy face, the guest raised his fist and the golden light on his body gathered in his fist. It's no use. Suddenly, a soft voice sounded, and a figure flashed in the air. Bo Yuqing appeared beside everyone, staring at the vortex storm, and said, Guang Yuan is a mid-stage 9-star martial emperor. Back then, he was only one step away from entering the high-level level. I've heard that the refinement has already made up for this gap. You're facing a high-level 9-star martial emperor. The guest said angrily, Zhao Wenzhan, it's all your fault. You still have the face to say that? Bo Yuqing's eyes narrowed slightly and he sighed, the world is chaotic, and everyone comes for profit. The world is bustling, and everyone is after profit. I'm only seeking benefits and avoiding disadvantages, but which one of you isn't the same? For the sake of our many years of friendship, I advise you to quickly escape. Humph. The guest snorted in anger. All the muscles in his body bulged, and all 4 doors opened. A great power of a fist spread out in his hand. He suddenly roared and punched out. Bang! The huge fist force broke through the air and directly smashed into the vortex. It was like a stone sinking into the sea, only causing a slight ripple. The guest's expression finally changed. He stood in the air with a livid face, not knowing what to do. What? Bo Yuqing turned his head in surprise, only to see Shui Xian's cold face, one hand forming a seal, her eyes slightly focused. An auspicious sign rose from her body, and golden light scattered in the sky as a light chant sounded. However, it was too late. The force of the huge whirlpool pressed down and swallowed the entire 9th grade warship. At this moment, Yunxiao became unusually calm. He performed an incantation gesture with one hand, and the energy in his body transformed into manhwa ancient characters that drifted out of his body. The endless power of laws was held in his palm, as if the sun, moon, and stars were floating in his palm. I'll take the wind and cloud. He struck out with all his might. Endless divine power flew up, and the divine realm tablet suddenly shone brightly. However, it still couldn't resist the vast power and was suppressed. Boom boom boom. The battleship broke apart at this moment, and all kinds of fragments shot out, showing signs of shattering. The might of the heavens and earth was shocking. Baiming Kongtian and Baiming Lifeng both had the same thought. He had to die this time, right? If he still didn't die, then. The two of them shook their heads, their eyes filled with surprise and joy. This time, they were dead for sure. There was no way they could escape. After a brief moment of joy, they all revealed worried expressions. They were afraid that no one could escape this calamity. Everyone's faces turned pale as they looked at the scene before them. Their expressions were grave and cold, and a sense of despair spread in their hearts. Shui Xian's eyes were also wide open, and her golden pupils emitted a strange power. She was anxious to find that her eye of truth could not see through the scene. This had never happened before. Was Yunxiao really in a daze? Water deity's entire body trembled. She did not dare to continue thinking. 2 large, crystal-like tears appeared in her eyes. Very quickly, they fell down like a broken bead curtain. He died to save me. Endless self-blame and regret spread in his heart. Rays of golden light scattered out from her body, and a strange scene appeared in the sky behind her. However, everyone was shocked by the vast power in front of them and no one noticed it. Yunxiao smiled miserably when he saw the man's palm shatter the wind and clouds, showing the indifference of life and death. The cold light in Guang Yuan's eyes grew even more intense. That kind of smile that seemed to be at ease in the face of life and death, the gaze that looked down on the world, was something that only a peerless elite could possess. Boom boom boom. The ninth-grade warships that were swept into the storm were all destroyed, turning into fragments. Suddenly, a golden beam of light shot out of it. It was soft and warm, and it enveloped Yunxiao, whose body was beginning to collapse. Yunxiao trembled and looked surprised. Under the light, arrays appeared around him to block the violent force. He looked at it carefully, and the ancient manhwa characters flashed in the array, which were actually formed by the convergence of countless sizes. What's going on? Both Yunxiao and Guangyuan, who were deep in the center of the vortex, were instantly stunned. A dull rumbling sound came from the exploded battleship, and then a faintly visible golden battleship shuttled out from it, like the first ray of dawn breaking through the dark clouds and shining a ray of sunlight. Guangyuan's heart trembled violently. Could it be that the battleship had directly transformed? It was said that after a profound level weapon had a spirit, after a long period of precipitation, it could directly transform into its original body and come out, becoming a powerful existence that could roam the four seas and the world. The golden battleship broke through the clouds and charged into the boundless force, crashing into Amitba. Damn it. Did this tool spirit not have a brain? You actually want to go head-to-head with my so I've heard. Guangyuan's expression changed drastically. Although the golden battleship had also gathered countless regulations and was crashing towards him, he did not think too much about it. The power contained in the weapon was enough to suppress all ninth-tier profound artifacts. Boom boom boom. The battleship instantly crashed into the lotus seat, shooting out countless golden raindrops. A brand new power condensed in the center of the vortex, dispersing the old power. Guangyuan's entire body trembled violently. The force of the battleship's charge actually shook his mind, causing a backlash from the mystical artifact, the lotus seat, and the qi and blood in his body to surge. How is this possible? Both Guangyuan and Yunxiao's pupils constricted. The new vortex was in a boundless golden color, and a magnificent ancient will rang out in the sky, turning the world upside down and shaking the universe. The magnificent Dharma Lotus platform, the Divine Realm tablet, and the golden battleship exuded a magnificent and vast power that shook the four poles. At this moment, everyone's face turned pale. A sense of powerlessness spread in their hearts, as if these lowly living beings were just a drop in the ocean in front of that endless power. Everyone couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship under this shocking scene. Suddenly, a delicate figure flashed on the battleship. With one step, it was as if she had crossed thousands of miles. Layers of space and time, countless manhwa ancient characters floated out of her body, condensing into a golden palm shadow, which actually blasted toward Guangyuan. Void forms of all laws, divine palm of wisdom. Yunxiao's body trembled. Not only the divine art, but that familiar face also appeared in front of his eyes again, but with a little more maturity and steadiness than before. The person who came was Yi Fan. Guangyuan's expression changed drastically. At this moment, the magnificent Dharma Lotus seat seemed to be attracted by the other two profound level weapons and was completely out of his control. Although the power of the other's palm was not strong, in this boundless and vast power, one could be drawn into it if they were not careful, and then they would really be beyond redemption. In his shock and anger, he condensed primordial qi in his hand and slapped it out. Boom boom boom. As the two palms collided, the golden light around Yi Fan's body was completely destroyed, his face was filled with shock. The power of the qi of origin blasted into his body and he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. A cold expression flashed across Yi Fan's face, the golden battleship under his feet produced many phantoms, endless power revolved behind him and pressed towards Guangyuan's primordial qi. Among the three supreme grade profound level weapons, the only one who could control them as he wished was Yi Fan. Noah's ship was not only made by his ancestor and must be opened with the blood of the Yi family, but Yi Nanshan's spirit sense that he obtained in the Four Seasons space in the demon plane had helped him to completely integrate with this extraordinary profound level weapon. Noah's ship was activated by Yi Fan, and the pressure on Guangyuan increased. Not only that, the balance between the three profound level weapons was instantly broken, and the golden vortex began to stir. Boom boom boom. A boundless golden power wreaked havoc and swept up golden waves. All of a sudden, the three profound level weapons were shaken away and shot out in three different directions. Guang Yuan's qi and blood were shaken by the Prajna god's palm, and he was sent flying thousands of meters away by stepping on the Buddhist monk. Yi Fan even spat out another mouthful of blood. His entire body seemed to be sucked dry, becoming even more fragile, as if he was about to collapse. The Divine Realm tablet was thrown away by the golden vortex. It turned into a stream of light and flew into Yunxiao's body, sinking directly into his dantian. Yunxiao's body was also empty, without a trace of primordial energy. Even putting away the Divine Realm tablet had injured his internal organs, causing him to vomit blood. All the people in the distance were dumbfounded by this change. Yi Nanshan's Noah's ship. Bo Yuqing murmured to himself in horror. Baiming Kongtian and Baiming Lifeng were completely dumbfounded. Their brains had been petrified. Big brother Yunxiao, we agreed that you would be at the peak of martial arts when we met again. I didn't expect you to be in such a sorry state. Yi Fan laughed. As Noah's ship sailed through the air, he reached out and grabbed Yunxiao into the warship. Yunxiao's face turned pale as he said with a wry smile, "When did you learn to be so scheming? You've actually been hiding under our eyes for so long." Yi Fan grinned. He was about to say something when his expression changed. He said in shock, "Not good. That person is chasing us." In the distance, Guang Yuan was chasing after them with a gloomy face. He hurriedly drove Noah's ship into the distance. Although he had completely refined this transcendent-grade profound-level weapon, with his current strength, it was impossible for him to unleash all of his power. If he were to face Guang Yuan, he would definitely die. Guang Yuan's expression was extremely ugly. He had recovered his peak strength from decades ago, and with the transcendent-grade profound artifact that he had heard of, he actually couldn't even kill these grasshoppers. If the time of Bo Yuqing's secret technique was over, the role of the hunter would probably change instantly. He had to kill these people at all costs. His killing intent rose, and a murderous aura emerged from his body. It gradually condensed into the shadow of a green dragon in the sky, circling in the clouds. Everyone's heart trembled. Although they had escaped a calamity, the entire killing trap was still there. Just as everyone's faces turned livid, Yunxiao suddenly let out a soft cry of surprise and looked in one direction with a stunned look. Everyone looked in the direction of his voice and couldn't help but let out an "Ah," as they were once again dumbfounded. Guang Yuan was also suddenly greatly shocked, his eyes almost popping out of their sockets, his mouth wide open as he stood there in a daze. Not far away, Shui Xian's body glowed with golden light and floated into the sky. In the sky behind her, a giant shadow was slowly taking shape. It was as if it had crossed over and was gradually merging with the sky. This is a Kasaya. When that huge phantom fully revealed itself, everyone was gobsmacked, and a cold chill was emitted from all over their bodies. They were no strangers to this thing. It was the deep-sea giant beast they had encountered before going out to sea. Although this round deep-sea giant beast was completely different from the big-faced monster, it gave people the same feeling. It had the coldness and ancient feeling of the endless deep sea. This huge deep-sea monster was smaller than the big-faced monster, but its stomach was round, like a huge version of a GRU beast. Shui Xian seemed to have fallen into a state of confusion, but the power in her body continued to be stimulated. Even after the appearance of the deep-sea giant beast, it did not stop. The golden light fluttered and continuously surged into the clouds. The laws of space and the sky were still being disrupted. The power of laws gathered in the sky and suddenly, a huge black hole appeared, instantly expanding for 1,000 miles. Ah! Everyone was greatly shocked. This scene was too frightening. Thousands of miles in the sky, it was pitch black, and several black dots slowly descended from it. They grew larger and larger, and became clearer and clearer in front of everyone. Ah! Everyone cried out again, and this time, even Yunxiao was petrified, his eyes bulging out of his head. What was slowly descending from the sky was a deep-sea monster like the giant guru, and 5 of them came at once. All of a sudden, 6 giant deep-sea monsters lined up in the air behind the water ferry. The 5 that landed behind were much smaller in size, and they seemed to be the descendants of the one in front. They stood neatly on the sea, opening their eyes and looking at the crowd curiously. Gulp. Guang Yuan only felt his throat dry and thirsty. He swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva with difficulty, but he still felt that he was burning up. As a member of the royal family of the Eastern Sea, he naturally recognized these deep-sea giant beasts. A long time ago, the sea god divided the strength levels, but did not include these things. Later, the publicly acknowledged speculation was that the deep-sea giant beasts' strength was unfathomable, and even the sea god at the time could not give them an accurate position. After the appearance of the 6 deep-sea monsters, the golden light on Shui Xian's body gradually dissipated. She slowly raised her head and her eyes were cold. The black hole in the sky that spanned thousands of miles collapsed instantly, shrinking into nothingness and disappearing into the sky. The entire sky above the ocean was eerily silent, and everyone was drenched in cold sweat. The shadows of the 6 deep-sea giant beasts were cast on the sea, extending into the endless distance. The azure dragon emerging in the clouds that had appeared above Guang Yuan was like a little crawling worm. After a few moments, it returned to his body, and the killing intent and fiendish qi on his body were completely gone. Under the gazes of the 6 deep-sea giant beasts, he lost all his temper. Water deity suddenly screamed.
Ah!
He looked at Yunxiao and sobbed, Li Yunxiao, you're not dead. Yunxiao's face was covered in cold sweat as he pointed behind her and said, what's going on with these 6 friends of Yingluo? Shui Xian wiped her tears and snot, touched her red eyes, and turned around. She suddenly exclaimed, Arg. It was Toot. Why are you guys here? Do Toot do. Everyone felt a sense of powerlessness. Yunxiao wiped his cold sweat and said in embarrassment, you know all 6 of these friends? Shui Xian seemed to be very happy. She flew up and hugged the largest deep-sea giant beast. From a distance, it looked like a small star stuck to a huge wall. Daudo let out a lululu sound from his mouth. He also seemed very happy. Then, the other 5 deep-sea giant beasts all made lulu sounds, as if they were talking. Water deity was very happy. This Tutu is my friend. These 5 are his children. From there on, they are called Daudu, fluffy, simple and honest, Yaya, strong and strong. These names are awesome. They're awesome. They're really awesome. Yunxiao could not help but swallow as he looked at the 5 nearly identical, round-shaped deep-sea beasts. He gave them a thumbs up and said, you can communicate with them? Can I summon them for battle? Everyone trembled and immediately became nervous. This was the main problem, especially for the magnates like Guang Yuan. They all perked up their ears to listen. Toot, the others are my friends. I can't summon them to fight, said Narcissus as he shook his head. Everyone's expression changed slightly. Meanwhile, Guang Yuan was overjoyed, and a cold glint appeared in his eyes. If these deep-sea giant beasts remained neutral, then there would be no change in their previous plan. Shui Xian continued, Toot just said that he felt my sadness, so he came to protect me. He wanted to tear the bad guys into pieces. He was afraid that he wouldn't be strong enough, so he called Mao Mao, Dodo, and the others over. Toot is very powerful. Even my father would have to put in a lot of effort to win against him. She said proudly. Guang Yuan. Shui Xian pointed at Guang Yuan and said coldly, Toot, he's a bad person. Kill him and take Amitba. It was as if a river had opened up on Guang Yuan's forehead, and cold sweat flowed down. The 6 deep-sea giant beasts turned their eyes to him at the same time. Their eyes were full of anger, and they kept making lululu sounds. Toot suddenly opened its mouth and spat out a black light that broke through the vast sky. It was as if the mighty force of heaven and earth had descended and was about to steam the sea dry. Guang Yuan's face instantly paled. That black light was not only extremely domineering, but it had also completely sealed off the space, making it difficult for him to move. Everything that exists is like a dream, like a bubble, like fog, like lightning. It should be as such. As the Shen methodology of Yuan Shang was used, Guang Yuan's dharma was solemn as he sat on the lotus platform. A golden light flickered in his hand as he slapped it towards the black light. Boom boom boom. A huge force exploded, and a large amount of seawater rushed up to the clouds, turning into steam. Guang Yuan's golden lotus was submerged into the boundless darkness under the explosion of the black light, and only the faint golden light could be seen. Liliolo. Tutu seemed to be very angry and kept mumbling. His 5 children also opened their mouths one after another, spitting out rays of black light that shot towards the golden lotus. Guang Yuan's face turned deathly pale, and he suddenly roared loudly. Amitabha was activated to the extreme, and he continuously broke through the power of the toot black light. Yi Fan was shocked, not good. He's going to use a transcendent grade profound level weapon to break through the air. But at the moment, both he and Yunxiao were injured, and Yunxiao had no combat power at all. He could only watch Guang Yuan push the power of the golden lotus to the extreme and slowly leave under the boundless pressure. Li Yunxiao, and that boy from the golden warship, will settle today's score some other day. Guang Yuan's face was cold and stern, then he looked at Bo Yuqing and said, Brother Yuqing, you're on your own. If you can leave here alive, the agreement between us will still count. Guang Yuan laughed out loud. Refining the supreme grade profound level weapon and escaping from the Xiankong Island had already completed his plan. Even though he was not able to devour all of them, as long as he found a place to slowly cultivate, he would be able to recover to his peak sooner or later and advance further. Boom boom boom. Daodu and the others' black light attacks finally landed, but Guang Yuan's figure had already disappeared from the sea of people. The 5 black glows crashed into the ocean, and the terrifying destructive power was displayed. The entire ocean was almost flipped over. The black power scattered wildly in the sea, and all lives within a radius of thousands of miles were destroyed. Arg! He actually managed to escape. Shui Xian was anxious. She did not care about Guang Yuan's life, but she had to get that Amitabha. Yunxiao sighed. It was indeed a pity that he had failed to kill Guang Yuan. But with Guang Yuan's power and Amitabha's, there was indeed no one present who could kill him. Although the 6 deep-sea monsters could defeat him, no one could stop him if he wanted to leave. The entire ocean was still churning under the black power, but a different atmosphere began to fill the air among the nearly 100 people in the air. The first to bear the brunt was Bo Yuqing. Everyone's eyes fell on him with a cold look. Bo Yuqing's face was also a little pale. He didn't have a transcendent grade profound artifact in hand, so it was too difficult to escape from the realm-breaking black light, let alone 6. Princess Shui Xian, when you were on Xiankong Island, Yuqing did not treat you shabbily and treated you as a distinguished guest. May I leave now? Bo Yuqing understood the logic, but his heart was unusually nervous. Bang bang bang, his heart was beating very hard. You've treated me well indeed. Leave, I won't kill you. Shui Xian nodded. Bo Yuqing was overjoyed and was about to turn into a ray of light to leave, in case a long night brought trouble. Everyone's expression changed drastically. He left so easily? Wait. Yunxiao shouted with a cold smile on his face. Bo Yuqing's face flickered, and he cursed inwardly. Shui Xian obviously had a good impression of Yunxiao and was very obedient to him. Princess Water Fairy, Yunxiao sneered. Are you going to get Amitabha back? Of course. Shui Xian quickly replied. That's the most precious treasure of the sea forest. We have to get it back. Where are you going then? Yunxiao asked again. Where are you going? This buy-in. Shui Xian was stunned. Although she was powerful, it was impossible for her to hide from one person in the vast world. Everyone sneered and stared at Bo Yuqing sarcastically, knowing that he couldn't leave. Do you remember what Guang Yuan said before he left, Princess Water Fairy? Yunxiao said with a smile. As long as Bo Yuqing is not dead, the agreement between them will still count. I think that as long as we start from Bo Yuqing, we can definitely find Guang Yuan. You're right. Shui Xian was overjoyed, looking at Bo Yuqing. You can't leave. You have to come with me to find Guang Yuan. Cold sweat broke out on Bo Yuqing's forehead as he gave Yunxiao a resentful glance and said with a wry smile, "Your Highness, don't listen to Li Yunxiao's nonsense. I don't have the ability to find Guang Yuan.